We would all do lines of Fun Dip in the bathroom.
No.
Yeah, you never did that?
Fun Dip. One time I did salt, and it was the craziest thing ever. Wait, Fun Dip?
Fun Dip was crazy. Fun Dip was awesome.
Did it work?
Yeah, kind of.
Do you remember a certain amount of money that your pops made for like one specific gig that was insane or no?
Bro, there was one for a corporate gig, dude. And my dad was such a shithead. There was like, I came home and there was a check for $40,000 on the floor, but it was like crumpled up. And when you're 9, like that's the most, you can't even conceive of that amount of money. I can't do that now, you know? Like that's when you're like you're to you like $10 is amazing because you could buy candy with that or whatever. There was a check for $40,000. It was crumpled on the floor, and I remember seeing that. And
He didn't cash it yet?
Maybe he did. I don't know if he did. Honestly, yeah. No, he was brilliant, but he was a goober. Like I don't know this, but there's a very real world where he didn't cash that check.
Here we are on beautiful Jones Street.
You saw Ted Jones.
Yeah, I guess I can hear myself a bit. I don't know how much. Yeah, I was gonna say it seems decent on there.
There he is, Greg Giraldo. What's up, buddy?
Not much, sir. How are you?
I'm terrific, dude. All right, so let's we got to start from the beginning, man. First thing I got to say,
Please.
welcome to the podcast.
Thank you.
Second thing I got to say, dude, every time I see you, you got a fat smile on your face.
Shit.
Ted Jones.
Right away. You know, YouTube sometimes, I think the deal is like the first 30 seconds, you can't really curse or anything.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So we're going to have to bleep that out. But no, I
That's
appreciate it. And now, boom, you're free to go. But yeah, bro, I've seen you many a times. I see you at clubs. I see you working, bro. So yeah, I want to start from the beginning, man. Where did you grow up in New York?
Yes, Upper West Side, born and raised.
I grew up in New York City as well. And people just really are flabbergasted anytime I tell them that I grew up in Manhattan proper. I grew up on 18th Street and 2nd Avenue.
Ooh.
Where did you grow up?
Upper West Side. I'm not going to disclose my exact address,
Okay.
but it is above 100th Street and below 110th.
Okay, so like
the
Central
west
Park
side.
North, they would theoretically
Yeah,
call it if you
theoretically.
don't expose your address
100%.
now. That's great, man. So you grew up maybe faster than the people listening and watching for the most part. That's what people say. That's how I describe growing up in New York City when people are like, "Oh, it must have been so crazy growing up here. You know, you didn't have to drive. I was smoking cigarettes backwards when I was 14 years old, taking the
100%.
subway at 12 years old." You know,
I always said that New York kids are way more mature and way cooler until 16. And I think the suburbs takes a leap. I think after 16, like they all realize they're hot. They all like that the space they have for house parties, they just have more wild stories because of that.
Sure.
And I think there's just more like repressed energy and there's more a sense of like, because they've all grown up together, I feel like there's more of a sense of like community in those towns. They're willing to get like way more comfortable with each other way quicker. Versus like, I don't know, maybe I'm just speaking on behalf of myself on this, but I feel like New York, I did the same thing from when I was 14 to when I was 18.
when I compare my high school experience to people who grew up in the suburbs, it was just like a lot of kids got in trouble once they started turning 16 and
Yes.
17 years
Yes.
old because
Yes.
there was so much access to things that 21 and 22-year-olds had starting in college.
That's
if you
true.
were in the suburbs. Did you go to college in the city?
I went to college in Easton, Pennsylvania. So I
So-
would bus in to do comedy.
Wait, can I guess where you went?
Yes, you can.
Eastern Pennsylvania. Would you go to
Easton.
Wilkes College?
Nah, not Wilkes.
East Stroudsburg?
Nah, close.
All right, give it to me.
It's Lafayette College.
Lafayette. All right.
Lafayette.
Okay. My dad, you know Adam Bramson, comedian?
Yes, I do.
He went there also.
I
He
know.
played soccer there.
Yeah,
so my
yeah.
dad went to
He was
Lafayette
a lot
actually
cooler
for.
than me.
Oh yeah.
Oh my god, I was so nervous. You know when you like see like your brother's old cool friend or something, and you're still kind of nervous because you're in that place, dude. That's how I was. I was in like the dweeb frat, and he was like a cool soccer kid.
But you're young. How old are you?
I'm 23.
Okay. My dad went to Lafayette for 2 years and then transferred to NYU.
Oh, good call.
But growing up in the Upper West Side and then going to Lafayette, it must have been a pretty big change, or were there a lot of kids from the city who went there?
Yeah, people say that. I don't know. Like it was. Yeah, it's. I think because I got exposed to a different culture.
Yeah.
And I love the school. Like I love the friends I made there. All that stuff. The culture was suburban douche, which in New York is novel. Because in New York, like you're exposed to a diverse group of people. There were people who I went to Lafayette with who would like close doors and be like, "Hey, like I'm scared of how many brown people there are on the floor." I'm like, "Dude, there's like 3 black guys." Like,
Yeah.
there's like 3 black guys. I've interacted with them once. Like,
When did you graduate?
Around
2 Mays ago? Not this past May?
2023.
Okay. So you were in college during the pandemic.
I was in the college during the pandemic. Like it was all like I like the people I like there. I'm also, this is probably just a bad reflection of me. I'm a pretty chill guy. You know, I'm just kind of.
Why is that a bad reflection?
Nah, and like I think it means that I get content too easy. I think it's a bit of a double-edged sword. I think I take too much shit, and it's indicative of me having like kind of a very low self-respect. Like I have like, this is such a comedy thing. I don't say to be too inside, but like a booker will like, a million other people will rip on a singular specific booker who we could talk about after this, and they're all like, "Oh, they treat you like shit. They treat everyone like shit." Whereas me, like, I don't really mind being treated like shit.
Well, in comedy, it goes without saying, you kind of got to take a lot of punches before you can, go the other way.
You do, man.
You know?
But I think the best comics are just like such undeniable talents and defined people. Like I think that's the biggest. I would argue one of the most important things about being a comic is just having a very defined 3-dimensional sense of self, and one that's very apparent on stage. Like Luca, you talk to that guy for 30 seconds, you're like, oh, okay, like you could tell he's lived a life. You could tell if you talk to him, he's going to have a perspective, an informed perspective on whatever you're saying.
So what are the 3 dimensions that you think?
I mean, I don't think they're describable, but I think like when when you're in a group of people and you're like, oh, that guy's an NPC. Like it's just like you could when someone talks, they make a wisecrack. There's something in their body language, like they just look interesting.
Yeah,
they look like you want. This is my big fear. This is my biggest fear. My big fear is I don't want to be the guy in the group where when everyone else leaves and it's like you and one other person in the group, the other guy's like, "Fuck, I'm stuck with this guy." You know what I mean? Because whenever you're stuck with that guy, it's like you're stuck with the NPC. You want to be the person where they're like, oh, everyone else leaves, it doesn't matter because you're with the interesting one anyway, you know. And I think because I'm such like a laid back person, it prevents me from being so forward about my opinions immediately, and I think that can make me come off as a little uninteresting.
Were you doing stand up at Lafayette when you were there?
Nah. Oh, I did it once.
What, like an open mic night or talent night?
Kinda. There was a comedy club. None of us knew what we were doing. We did one show. Everyone bombed. There was one guy who didn't bomb, and he just talked about being trans the whole time. and
That'll do it in 2023.
Dude, it was very brave. I mean, I was emboldened by the set. Yeah, I was, ironically, it was in a frat. Oh, this is the other thing is before, I think this is also, I was young enough where, when you think you were like, oh, I drink alcohol and then I'm cool. And you thought that's as far as it was. I was at that age. So I just sat down and got wasted for no reason and then just riffed basically on the show.
I think that's how you initially get your feet wet in comedy,
Sure.
or that's at least how I did it. But now there's no shot I would even think about drinking before going on stage or smoking. And it's been a very long time since I smoked in general. But going on stage inebriated, it does feel like it now. Comics either will have a few drinks or they're sober,
Yes,
I don't know how you handle that.
100%. I'll do a drink or two beforehand, but my preference is sober for sure. I can barely do drunk, and it's definitely dissipation. People who can do it high, God bless you. You have access to some bullshit that I don't. I can't even.
Well, I used to do it. I mean, I used to cut it off like 3 hours before a set, so it wasn't like I'd smoke and go on stage.
Yeah, that's
but still, I'll see people eating a minute before they go on stage, and I can't do that.
No, food you saying, or
no, food.
Oh, same. It fucks me, and you feel like such a bitch after, because you're like, you tell your buddies, you're like, I bombed, and like, oh, what happened? You're like, you know what happened? You're like, oh, I had like halal 30 minutes ago, which is such a bitch excuse.
Right, yeah.
Like,
but it really does affect you.
It totally affects you. It totally affects your mood. Yeah. I'm big on smoothies. If I like need something quick before, just something light, I'll do that.
Yeah.
Dude, I was talking to older comics about this, and they're like all this shit, apparently all this health stuff that we're talking about, this is so new. Supposedly. They're all like, yeah, like I was talking to Misha Han. He's like, dude, 7 years ago I went to a festival like these days we're like after shows we're all talking about cameras. They also all be talking about coke. Like that used to be what it was. I don't know.
Before cameras were even implemented, really.
Yeah,
in comedy.
I think cameras were invented in 2017.
Yeah.
They weren't even around.
It's funny. I've talked about this a lot on the podcast, but I think we've seen a huge leap since probably when you were in the middle of your college experience was like when TikTok started becoming big, 2019, 2020, and people were putting these vertical clips on TikTok and then starting to grow their audience that way. And people realized that if you have a camera during your 1 hour show, there's so much opportunity for you to take whatever it is, 30 seconds from that show, put it online, and then boom, you get 50 more thousand followers, something like that. But yeah, it's so new. We're in the baby stages of it. And then, you know, your generation of comics, I imagine that everyone's going to start filming as much as possible. But even if you maybe haven't started it, but I think that people are going to start to realize that that's maybe not half the battle, but it's way more of the battle than it was, 7 to 10 years ago. It's a lot less of the older kind of motto where it was like, all right, you be out till 2 a.m, then you wake up at 2 p.m, have lunch, and then go maybe hit an open mic and then do a spot.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? So you were exposed to comedy at a super young age because your pops was a legend.
Yeah.
If you're cool talking about him a little bit. Yeah. So what was that?
Let's get some content. Let's get some clips.
What was the first experience you had at a comedy club that you remember?
I hated them. I hated them growing up. They were scary. They're still scary. They're all scary. It's a dark room. It's all drunk adults. Dude, I was like 4, and I didn't realize at the time it was all like the weirdo open micers were just trying to suck my dad's dick. So they were all trying to talk to me because I was more approachable because I was a scared kid. I'd be playing Zelda, and they're like, "Oh, you're playing Zelda," and I could like smell their breath,
A Game Boy?
Oh, dude, I would be ripping Pokemon Emerald in the back of all of those clubs, and they would be like you could the worst were the old people that like the dudes, they're still around. They definitely don't remember me, but I remember them. The dudes who like you could tell have been around the scene for so long and have never gained any kind of traction, but they had like one TV credit in 1982. They're the ones who come over and they're like, Pokemons, huh?
Well, why do you think those particular people haven't gained any traction?
Because they're creeping out kids. That's not a great start. Well, honestly, I think a lot of them are just generic. I think I mean, we're all generic. They're just delusional. Their material is boring. Like you don't remember them when they get off stage. They're very, again, going back to the 3-dimensional thing, they're surface level people. It's very much like I was on a date with a girl and she didn't want to have sex with me. Isn't that sad? And you're like, yeah, bud, that's a bummer. Like that's a real unique take you got there. Real nuance. How long did it take you to think of that one?
Yeah. Instead of being like, I was on a date with a girl, I offered to split the bill. That was the last time I heard from her. add a little nuance to it.
There you go. That's at least a newer, relatable perspective.
Yeah.
Did you offer to split the bill? Is this a real story?
No, I don't know. I'm just saying.
Has this happened before?
It's been a minute since I've been on a date, but no, I don't think I've ever done that, bro.
You never done that?
Well, even if I think the date is going bad, I won't
Ooh,
split the bill. I'll
same.
just do it and then just whatever.
I'm too Latin. I can't do it.
Yeah.
I can't do it.
You will split the bill?
Bro, no, I won't. I can't.
Yeah.
My mom, in 6th grade, I took a girl on a date and I came home. I was like, Ma, I got this hot girl to buy me pizza. And I like went up for the high five and she's like, you're a fucking pussy. Don't do that in this house. Your father's rolling over in his grave.
Was he bouncing around other clubs or was he mainly like at the Comedy Cellar and Comic Strip or how did that look like?
I think he was bouncing around. Yeah. He was one of those, and this is what I really respect is he was one of those dudes who would do like the shit rooms even when he was big. Yeah, which you love that.
Well, back then, what did that look like though? How you
yeah,
kind of,
that's true.
Yeah, imagine it.
No, that's a good point. I didn't think about that perspective. I guess like the shit rooms back I don't know. I wasn't around.
You don't have to say the clubs, but like how many people, right?
Like 25, I think. I feel like when people say the shit rooms back then, it was that.
Yeah. So now you can get an electric room with like 20 people.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
Killer, dude.
Very different now.
Cream my pants at 14.
Yeah.
Yeah. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Do you still stay in contact with anybody who was like friends with your dad back in the day?
Totally, yeah. I worked at the Cellar before I did comedy too. So I had like a lot of service level contact with a lot of those people. I think like, I don't know. Maybe I'm inflating, but whenever I talk to people, they're like, oh, they're always like, oh, you can hit up your uncle Colin Quinn. It's like, yeah, like if I called him, he would respond. And we're definitely like very friendly and good family friends and all that. But like, Like I'm not like opening for him or anything. You know what I mean? It would be if I hit him up and was like, "Hey man, how are you doing?" And I didn't have an agenda in mind. It would be kind of weird. Like it'd be kind of awkward if I was like, "Hey man, thinking of you today." We don't have that kind of relationship.
Do you feel any pressure being your father's son in comedy?
Not until this podcast. No, this is the first time.
Well, we had to get you to open up, brother.
Where the lights are brightest in this.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
I love this side, by the way.
Thank you, dude. I appreciate it.
Nah, not really.
Yeah.
I think less so. I'm gonna get some semblance of hate online, and that's okay.
Yeah, but I feel like everyone does.
Oh, exactly.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
But I mean, for me, it's, bro, they're all, and I'll say this to your face, it's all like old O&A fans, and they are just brutal people.
What's O&A?
Oh, Opie and Anthony.
Oh, okay.
It's all like old, failed, like edgelord comics.
He was on that program for a while?
He
Okay.
was on the roast. So they had like there's a lot of overlap there. Yeah, so it's all a bunch of people who like, there was one clip of my roast battle that got dropped when I was 6 months in, and all the comments were like talking about how my mother should have gotten an abortion with like a horrible punchline and blah 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 blah. Yeah, dude, I was like fucking in my bed crying, and I just went down and I disliked all the comments like that would do anything. I was like, fuck.
And also,
I'll show them, dude.
When you click on a lot of those, it's not even a real profile.
No,
I feel
of
like.
course.
I mean, that's at least from what I've seen or whatever.
Yeah, it's really easy to hate. Just so you guys know, it's really easy to talk shit.
But I think like people listening and watching, they all know how easy it is to make a fake profile and go hate on somebody's account, whether it's on Reddit or Instagram or TikTok or some shit.
Very much so.
All right, bro. Well, let's. I also want to jump to your. I guess your childhood experience growing up in New York a little bit more. Where'd you go to high school?
I went to Lehman, HSAS. It's one of the specialized ones.
Why was
right
it
near
specialized?
Bronx Science.
No, you took the test to get into it, I imagine.
I took that test.
But you didn't get into Stuyvesant or Brooklyn Tech?
I actually did.
You got into Stuyvesant?
Yeah, I got into all of them. It's all bullshit because my middle school GPA was good.
I don't know about that, dude. It was like only really smart Asian kids got into Stuyvesant when I was around.
It was dude. I remember there were so many kids in my middle school that were the only thing that mattered was that test. Your GPA didn't matter. And there were so many kids in my school smarter than me that didn't get into my school. I would just come in the next day and like still not do my homework. Like just go to the better high school than them. Yeah, the whole system is stupid. But yeah, I was lucky enough. I tested into this school. I loved it. It was great. Super small. Everyone was a nerd. So it was all dweebs and then like 4 hot girls who were just annoyed that they were trapped in this cage with losers.
What did your mom do as a profession?
She's a lot of shit. She's a costume designer. She's a waitress at Caroline's. That's how she met my dad.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Which, by the way, my mom might be more connected in this industry than like, I don't want to say my dad, but oh my, like she like texts David Tale regularly. It's super weird. Yeah, she did that. Now she sells furniture.
Do you remember a certain amount of money that your pops made for like one specific gig that was insane or no?
Bro, there was one for a corporate gig, dude. And my dad was such a shithead. There was like, I came home and there was a check for $40,000 on the floor, but it was like crumpled up. And when you're 9, like that's the most, you can't even conceive of that amount of money. I can't do that now, you know? Like that's when you're like you're to you like $10 is amazing because you could buy candy with that or whatever. There was a check for $40,000. It was crumpled on the floor, and I remember seeing that. And
He didn't cash it yet?
Maybe he did. I don't know if he did. Honestly, yeah. No, he was brilliant, but he was a goober. Like I don't know this, but there's a very real world where he didn't cash that check.
But he must have been doing insane then.
Oh yeah, he was doing great. Yeah, he was. I mean, it was all because notoriously drug addicts aren't great with their money. So like,
You said aren't?
No, they're
Right.
so like. He would like go to Vegas and blow X amount, but yeah, for the most part, the last couple of years of his life, he was doing pretty good. He was doing pretty good.
And was there anything in particular that you as a young child saw and you were like, all right, maybe that's not normal?
Yeah.
I mean, the $40,000 check on the ground.
That was huge. That was big. I thought my dad dealt drugs, and I was kind of right.
How are you kind of right? What do you mean?
I guess that was my dad bought drugs more so than he's definitely involved. He took me to Vegas like 3-4 months before he died. That was an awesome vacation because I got to see sort of the top floor of comedy where we stayed in the presidential suite. There was a stripper pole in my room. I didn't know that then. And I like danced on the stripper pole because I was a kid. I was trying to climb it or whatever. And I think my dad cried because he was like, oh, this is my kid. I think my kid's gay.
Like laughing cried or what?
No, I'm kidding. But I think he was like, fuck. Yeah, like, this kid likes us too much.
Yeah.
We went there and like, just staying in the presidential suite and hearing from him like, no, this is all free. Like we're going to the buffet downstairs. That's included. We took a helicopter tour of the Grand Canyon. That was included. Just hearing that all of that was given to him made me realize like, okay, like there's no way that's in any way normal. That can't be. So I only really realized it toward the end, which was also financially when he was doing far and away the best.
Where did he grow up?
Queens, New York.
And then how did he start his career, if you don't mind talking about it?
He wanted to be an actor, and he did a bunch of auditions, and he sucked. But one of the casting directors was like, oh, this guy's funny. So then he just started doing stand-up from there. And like my understanding is there just wasn't as much information available back then. Like you kind of showed up to an open mic, and then you sort of got what was told to you.
Sounds like a beautiful time. Man.
I know, man.
Super
honestly,
simple.
It does. Just like the fact that your whole job could be telling jokes when you're not even like on the Tonight Show or anything yet. You could live a decent living when your job was just being funny. That's the only responsibility you had. That's insane. Insanely simple. Yeah, he did that, and I think he just like he took to it pretty quick. He hung out like he was always a big drinker, so he would hang out late. And again, back then, that just had you mesh pretty quickly. My understanding is he had a lot of talent too, so people took notice pretty quickly. Yeah, he went from there.
And then how old was he when he really popped off, if you remember?
Super early, super duper. I mean, like, again, popping off is all relative, I guess, but he was so good so early that 3.5 years in, he got a sitcom deal for like $500K and was put in Entertainment Weekly, all that nonsense. He got a sitcom deal, and it was horrible. It lasted like 6 episodes, but once you have a sitcom, you headlining, like especially back then. That's a huge credit that you were one of the top 10 young faces at Entertainment Weekly or whatever. And then you had your own sitcom. Like, yeah, that's totally enough to sell out an Improv in Tampa or whatever. So yeah, he went from there, and then from then he has to go on the road as much as possible, and that's how he got good.
Now there's so many different ways to potentially sell out a theater,
sure.
But the fact that there are so many different ways, it makes it, I feel like, more difficult to sell out a theater because people might not know you from this specific angle. Maybe one of your videos has 100 million views, but chances are if you're sitting with someone, they might not have seen it because it's not on the same algorithm or whatever. Everybody would watch a particular TV show because it's on at 8 p.m. every Thursday. Mm-hmm. And then you go to the office the next day, you talk about it.
Sure.
But now somebody could potentially not have looked at their phone that day.
Yeah.
When it was like everybody sat down for dinner at 8 p.m. on that particular night, knew weekly it was going to come up. So super different, man.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my God. Yeah. I don't know if I like it or not. I'm super conflicted on it.
Well, it's the beginning stages, you know?
It is. That's true.
You look back in those days and be like, yeah, those are the glory days. But maybe we're living in the glory days, man. We look back, we listen, we watch this podcast 3 years from now, bro. Ted Jones world. Yeah, dude, who knows, dude? But it's super interesting.
It is. It definitely is. And I also my perspective of the glory days are from someone who they worked for. Like, it's like, my dad was one of the guys the industry loved. So, of course, I liked it when of course, I have a great view of that. Honestly, everyone's complaining about, everyone's super happy about there being less gatekeepers these days. Like, you can just make your own online content or whatever. As a Nepo baby, that sucks. The gatekeepers were hung out with me when I was 4 years old. I want them back. I want as many gatekeepers in as possible.
I don't know if I've ever mentioned this on the podcast. I do feel like, and I'm not just saying that, I do feel that there is something to be said about having both of your stand-up, if you are a stand-up comedian, and your social media presence kind of rise together. That's probably the best way to do it. Because if you start off, you have a million followers on all your platforms, and then you just start stand-up comedy, it's a little bit difficult to gauge for the viewers and listeners and even yourself that you can go sell out a 350 person theater for the weekend, 4 shows, but are they going to come back and see you because you've been doing stand up for 6 months? It's tough to balance that.
That's true. And like inevitably when you start stand up, you're horrible. When you start social media, you're horrible.
Yep.
So, okay. Yeah. You're posting bad clips with bad quality and you learn them at the same time.
When you start stand up, you're horrible. When you start social media, you're horrible.
Yeah. You build it up all at the same time. That is the dream. I think I will say there definitely are people who are so good at one and not great at the like. There's no. I think what annoys me about social media more than stand up is like stand up. I think there's more of a science behind it than social media. Ironically. Because you're in the room, like what to change and figure stuff out and blah blah blah. Whereas social media, you can kind of figure out the algorithm. But like, I don't know. With my with my understanding, at least with stand up, I think once you get to a certain point, you have an idea that okay, this joke is probably going to work, or at least go okay. Whereas with social media, just such random shit pops off all the time. And with stand up, it's I guess you could argue it is similar because sometimes you just have this throwaway idea that ends up crushing and blah blah blah. But I don't know. Maybe it's because I'm bad at social media. But
I do feel like you'll hear people who would work on a particular video for days or weeks, maybe even months, and they know that okay, this is a great video. They put it up and then quote it flopped. When if you are crafting a joke for days, weeks, months, you've done it 100 times and you have the ability to do it 100 times and see like, okay, there's this part that doesn't work. This part works. Maybe let's put this part in this particular location. And social media, you can't really, or nowadays people don't post the same video 100 times.
Sure. That's a good point.
Maybe that'll change. But there's a stigma behind it. And there's definitely not a stigma behind telling the same joke 100 times, especially since it's to 100 new audiences.
Oh yeah. No, that'll kill you, which kills your soul. But like learning that bookers want you to do the same set, it totally makes sense. I totally believe it. But it when you're like, I'm 2 years in, that hits me right here with them being real with me, being like, oh, you have like 12 minutes that we feel comfortable putting up at this club. Like having a real, and however many I actually have, who the hell knows, but having like a real New York, like they're willing to throw you up at Gotham at a paid spot on lineups next to like the best comics in the world. Having a really tight New York 10, 12, whatever the hell it is, like that is so, it's insane to explain to people how soul crushingly hard it is to get to that point. I have thought I've had a tight 5 for like 2.5 years. And now that I'm 2.5 years in, like, I don't know if I have one now, like really understanding what a tight 5, I don't know. It's just it's so constantly humbling.
Did you play sports growing up? Random transition, but
no, you're good. Hit me. I was
just asking. Do you play sports growing up?
I see the broken tennis racket over there.
Yeah, almost.
You're a real athlete.
Well, that's not broken. That's a stringless stick. So you put strings in there and then you're good. Broken it's shattered in half, which I've done that a few times in my life.
As you can tell, I have not played too many sports growing up.
Did you didn't play in high school at all?
I guess I did. Yeah, that's a lie. I played. Strike
me as a soccer player.
I was just bad. No, I played a lot with my friends. My friends were big athletes. I guess I was in a league. I played a lot of futsal. You know what futsal is?
Shit is that?
Indoor soccer.
Like at Chelsea Piers?
Kinda, yeah. We would rent out a gym. It was this
futsal?
It's FUT. SAL,
like football, but futsal.
Yeah.
All right. Spanish.
We would like rent out this like it was like you ever play in those like youth leagues where they would play at like different high schools and shit when you were in like middle school.
Yeah, I played like Downtown United. If you ever heard of that. You've heard of that?
Yeah, I have.
Okay.
It was a lot like that, except like we just founded our own team.
City kids. Oh, okay.
Oh
nice.
yeah.
Nice.
The Breeze Boys.
Yeah, what did you do in high school growing up? I mean, like I would get into shenanigans for the most part. I remember I was drinking at 14. I told you smoking cigarettes backwards at 14 also.
Oh, yeah.
What kind of stuff did you do?
Ooh, you were cooler than me. Oh man, are you sober now? Do you still drink?
I mean, like I'll have a drink and a half, maybe 2 drinks every 4 to 6 weeks, but I don't smoke, and I'll occasionally, occasionally I'll drink, not really.
Sure. I'm kind of the same way now. What did I do? I guess I definitely did drink. I drank like probably once every 2 weeks or something, but it was all lame. Like it was all like all the private school girls would have like these big parties, their cool houses. We had 90 kids in my grade. We were all losers. So there would be 15 people in a house, and the girls who were all way cooler than us would start like dancing on tables and shit. And we were like, at like 14, 15, we're like, get down from there. You look ridiculous. Like we didn't know that was what you were supposed to do.
Did you ever go to clubs in high school or no?
Once or twice. They were fine. I lied. Like I went once and then lied to all my friends and said it was lit. So yeah.
Oh, it wasn't lit?
It was all right. I liked, whenever I went with a girl, I liked it. Whenever, because I was not good at going there and picking people up, but like if I went with someone I was already with, then it was pretty. But then I would just like get drunk and make out. Like that was cool anyway.
That's fresh, yeah.
Yeah, no, it's not bad. It's not bad.
Did you have middle school dances?
Yeah, bro, but I incelled those. Oh my god.
I mean, bro, it's very tough to talk to another girl when you're in middle school like that, especially the music's playing, all your boys are watching. You like try and grind with a girl, and then if you did, it was like, yo,
that was huge.
Time.
That was huge.
Time, yeah.
That, dude. Anyone who like made out in the bathroom, goated. Oh
yes,
man,
literally goated, dude.
Yeah, no, I would like legitimately swear this is. I think this is awesome. People look at me, they look at me like I'm insane, but these are such fond memories for me. As I would just go to the corner to all the day. They always had like Halloween candy or Easter candy or whatever, and I would just eat all the candy and I would just sit by myself in the corner. I would just have this big bowl of candy and I would just sit there for 2.5 hours.
Get the sugar rush going.
It was awesome. I would do that, and then I guess later in high school, what we would all do is we would all do lines of Fun Dip in the bathroom.
No.
Yeah, you never did that?
Fun Dip. One time I did salt, and it was the craziest thing ever. Wait, Fun Dip?
Fun Dip was crazy. Fun Dip was awesome.
Did it work?
Yeah, kind of. Because it goes straight in your bloodstream. It's the same. Yeah, it was awesome.
Did it taste good?
No.
You get the drip?
Oh, yeah. Oh, dude. It was,
lines of Fun Dip.
There was this weird camp counselor who would like... he turned his whole like cabin where he taught his activities to a drug den. He would wear a tank top and a do-rag. This fat white guy.
This is a camp counselor?
This is a camp counselor.
Sleepaway camp or day camp?
Sleepaway camp. They turned over all the beds. All the kids were in tank tops and do-rags. These kids were like 13 and they would be cutting up.
Stop,
They would pour like the Sour Patch, the Sour Patch stuff. They'd be pouring that in there. They would all have little plastic knives. They'd cut up in the bag. They would sell it to you. You'd sell bags of Fun Dip. It was awesome.
What sleepaway camp did you go to?
Lake Greeley camp.
Lake Greeley?
Lake Greeley.
I think I knew a kid. Is that in Maine?
Nah.
Where's that?
Pennsylvania.
Maybe I knew a kid who went there. How many years did you go to sleepaway camp?
I loved it. Favorite place in the world. Probably still. 9 years. 9 years.
And you went 7 weeks, 7.5 weeks?
I think.
Or you went the 4 weeks?
It changed depending on the year. I would say I averaged probably like 5-6 weeks.
Yeah, I was never a sleepaway camp kid, man. I just got too homesick.
It was the best.
I remember, because I went to an all boys camp. Was like really an all boys camp or no?
Nah, dude. 70%.
Mad chicks,
70% girls, dude.
Really?
Oh my god.
That's crazy.
I would delude myself into thinking I had so much game.
Did you have to put your phones away for the whole summer or no?
Yeah, we did.
Yeah,
We
okay.
did.
I'm happy that's still implemented, man.
It's not as much anymore, unfortunately. I was a counselor after, and people would, but they still try. And it's you need it. You really.
I was a
need it.
counselor at a camp one year. This is when I was like a CIT, counselor in training,
Yeah,
which
yeah.
I'm sure you know. I was 15 years old at a day camp, and I'm pretty sure my parents paid for me to be a
They
counselor
did.
in training, which
That-
is wild.
Mine did. Sorry. I don't know about your parents.
No, that's insane though. That like we'd have to pay for our responsibility.
Oh, yeah.
I guess it makes sense. We're like 15 years old, but
For
still,
sure.
looking back on it, it's like what?
I made them work for that money though. I would like, dude. I was constantly like trying to finger girls in the bathroom. I was not a paid employee.
Well, I know, but you would get your money's worth then.
Oh, 100%.
Your parents were getting your money's worth.
And I was like, what are they going to do? Fire me? I'm paid to be here.
Yeah, literally. Oh yeah, it must have been. Yeah, definitely was like a harder fire for sure
yeah.
if you're paying to be there.
Oh,
too.
100%. And I was great like on the face of things. Like when I wasn't getting yelled at, I was awesome.
Did you, transition again. Did you think about going to any other colleges besides Lafayette?
Oh,
or was
yeah.
that like your main dream school?
Nah, I actually wanted to drop. I actually wanted to not go to college and be a YouTuber. There's my creative bug.
Fresh.
Thank God I didn't. Thank God.
Well, who knows? Maybe it's in the future.
I honestly think if I did it, I would have made it though. I stand by that. I was really passionate, and honestly, now doing stand up, I understand how hard I can work when I actually want something.
Dude, that's crazy. It's great that you found that so early in life, man.
But
'cause for me, it didn't click for a while.
How old were you when you started?
I started doing stand up briefly, but like 24, 25, would do maybe a show a month. And then I really got serious about it when I turned like 27.
Oh, dude, you're fine.
Well, I know, but
you look great.
Thank you, buddy. I worked in real estate for 6 years and I wanted that to be my passion so badly. But I realized that once I started stand up, I can work so hard on it, you know?
That's such a bummer of a statement. I want that to be, it's like staring at a page of math.
So my dad actually owns a real estate company. So that's why I was going to like take over the business. This was going to be it. It was just like, this could be yours.
Sure.
So I was like, why?
Man.
I want that to be mine, you know?
Maybe if my dad owned a real estate company and wasn't a comedian, I would be doing real estate. Maybe. God, what a life. What a life.
But I think it goes to say like there's certain things that you think that you want for yourself, but the universe has different plans.
Yeah,
you know?
Of course.
Yeah. Any moments that you've had, I guess within like the last 1 or 2 years that have stood out to you, comedy wise?
I crushed in front of Dave Attell. That was awesome. That was super cool. I crushed in front of Dave Attell, and the next day I got turned away from an Eastville open mic because I got there too late. I was like, the duality of comedy is insane.
That is insane.
And it wasn't even like, I thought about bringing that up. I thought about being like, I just murdered in front of Dave Attell. Do you know who I am? Like you're letting this crackhead over me. But nah, you got to take it, man. This is what comedy is.
Do you have anything that you want to accomplish in the future that you've thought about?
I want to feel the same way about doing an hour as I do about doing 8 minutes. Where I'm like, if you give me 8 minutes, I like, again, famous last words, but I'm kind of like almost regardless of circumstance, I can do okay. You know what I mean? Like I know I can do well and I feel comfortable and I like am comfortable enough to like I could riff a little bit and try to do whatever. If I get to that place where I'm able to do an hour, that's when I'm like, oh, okay, I think that I'm a real comedian now. Yeah, I mean, that's all you can ask for, man. There's so many comics. I hate it. One of my huge peeves is whenever comedians complain that they're not getting spots. It's like, bro, you know why you're not getting spots.
Why do you think that is?
Everyone knows why you're not getting spots. Because there's so many people. There's so many comics. Like why are they choosing you over someone else? I am dumbfounded whenever people choose me over some other people. Because there's so many good options. There's so many solid options, I think. At least to do the level of shit that I'm doing. Like so many people in New York City can do a good 8 minutes. You know, or doing 8 minutes is insane. That is able to hold its own on a show at 10 p.m. on a Saturday. So everyone knows. Like, if at that point, if all you can offer is, I do a great 8 minutes, as does everyone else, like you got to offer something else. And I hate that that's the case. It's annoying, but like,
what do you think something that you have to offer?
I hate to be that douche. I think you gotta run a show or have a connection somewhere.
Have a currency. There's so many people who have something to offer.
So many.
Instead of just asking and asking and asking.
So many. Yeah, and it's annoying that that's reality. Or you can be so. I mean, you don't just have to show. You could be so undeniably good, which like. There's very few of those people, if we're being honest. There's so few people where you're like, oh, I want this person on my show and they bring nothing else to the table other than being really good. There's so few.
Yeah.
So few. There's that you could offer to bark. Obviously, that's helpful. Offer to help. And that's also what's such a mindfuck about New York is you'll see people barking and I'm like, oh, you're like a headliner anywhere else in the country. And here you're out in front like asking to suck this old dude's dick so you can do a show in front of 6 people so it doesn't get canceled. Like that is an insane reality for an art form that anywhere else, I'm not going to name a name, but like you take a couple of these dudes, you put them anywhere else in the country, they're running that town in like a week, and here we're all just, begging for scraps. But it's good. That's what makes you good. I couldn't ask to go anywhere else.
Do you know
Ted Jones.
Yeah.
Okay, so he was telling. I did his show probably like 6 months ago, and we were swapping for a little bit, like back and forth.
Yeah.
He was saying that he now only books killers, people that are his friends, and people that he could swap with.
Yeah.
Which I think is a very interesting way to start to book your show, especially if you only do it monthly and you have 6 people on the show and you have the availability to, book 84 comics over the entire year. And 84 out of, dude, I don't know how many working comics are
Something
there.
insane. Yeah.
500, something like that.
I would say, I mean, like, I don't have that as an established rule, but more or less that's what I do. Yeah.
Yeah.
I book, and a lot of times those overlap, thank God. Because
Yeah,
hopefully your friends should be funny, and hopefully also a lot of time they also run their own shit.
Yeah. Yeah. But definitely, I mean, people who are listening and watching, I think that there is an extremely valuable currency in having something to offer as a comic, especially in a time we're at where if you're getting paid for a spot on a Thursday night, get an Uber if it's not raining out.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
You feel like it's Uber. I've never made enough to make it
Well,
Uber.
I mean, it depends how close. Maybe close. It depends how close the show is. But yeah, I think that there is something to be. How do I get in this place? And the cliche answer, which is always true, is you gotta hang out.
You gotta hang out.
You gotta network.
You gotta be there.
You gotta have a lot of followers on Instagram. You gotta know the booker.
Yep.
There's so many different facets to getting booked.
Yep. If someone says, if your opener is let me send you my tape, and then you walk away, bro, I'm probably not watching that tape. It almost doesn't matter how good that tape is.
Wait, what do you mean your opener is? Wait, what are you talking about?
Like if there's so many comics from out of town who like come up to you at a mic and be like, I got you, like sending you my tape right now. And then they'll just leave. Like they won't try to talk to you. They'll just send you your tape and they'll walk out of there. Like,
or in your DMs, I don't know.
oh yeah, DMs. I mean, like those I'll look at. Referrals are big, as they are with any
Dude,
career.
I think referrals are bigger than sending a tape.
I would agree. I would very much agree. I would very much agree. We watch so much comedy. So much comedy. Yeah, I don't know.
Do you see
I'm
yourself?
burned out.
Do you see yourself staying in New York for the rest of your life?
Yes, I do.
Unless a big bag brings you somewhere else for a few days
Yes.
or weeks or months or whatever it is.
Very much so. I will move to any of these places I just ripped on for a bag. For anywhere we'll
Hey, me too, man. Maybe not move fully, but we'll be there for a few months.
Oh yeah,
whatever
are
it
you
is.
kidding me? Yeah, I would live. If I could play, there are people that the way Atlantic City used to work is like they would have like 4 casinos that you could play just during the pandemic. If that were still going on, I would live there. I would live there for like 6 months.
Greg, dude, before we get out of here, man, this has been an amazing episode. You've been an open book. Is there anything you want to plug?
Professional Unprofessionals show I run every single Wednesday. It has been killer. We have been selling it out.
Where is it?
It is at the Perry Club. It is about 4 or 5 blocks from the Comedy Cellar, the Comedy Shop, all of those. Another one in the Village, super close to everything else. Show's been great. It's all been popping. It's all been good. Come by if you're around.
Amazing. Greg, dude, you're
Sir.
the man, dude. I look
Thank you.
forward to getting to know you even more and seeing you around. It's been great, and we'll continue to grow this bond and friendship. Guys,
Bond and
thanks so
friendship.
much for tuning in. We'll see you next time.
See you next
Peace.
time.